穴の開いた鍋、肉のないカレー、足りないのは代わりがあるから。一人の箸、一人の靴、針のない時計、足りない関係からのシャンプー、満たされたゴミ、どっちがいる、どっちもいらない、揃えば意味なす私のアバター、二人で一つよ、私とあなた、愛しいものは離さないでいえ、君は愛そのものだ、ゆえにゆえにゆえにゆえにラバラブ、ゆえにゆえにゆえにラバラブ、ゆえにゆえにゆえにラバラブ、ゆえにゆえにゆえにラバラブ。
When civil war broke out in Spain in 1936 between left-wing Republicans and right-wing nationalists, Il Duce unilaterally committed Italy to Francisco Franco's nationalist cause. Mussolini intended to use intervention in Spain to cement fascist control over the Mediterranean, with him and Franco casting long shadows over the region. Like Germany, Italy sent the nationalists arms and men, but here is where things take a turn. So excited to support Franco was Mussolini that he had more than 70,000 Italian soldiers in Spain at the peak of his nation's involvement, and at times had more aircraft in Spain than the Spaniards did. Consisting of 1/10 of the estimated numbers fighting for Francisco Franco's fascists, Italy had deployed more soldiers than any other nation in Spain on either side of the conflict. The Italian loss of life was estimated to be around 4,000 soldiers. Mussolini was exceptionally generous to his fascist ally, giving the Spaniards more than 600 planes, 150 tanks, 800 artillery pieces, 10,000 machine guns, and nearly 250,000 rifles. These were men and machinery that Italy could ill afford to lose, and though the Spanish Civil War proved a valuable training ground for Italian troops, the impact of the loss of materiel to Spain would last throughout the entire Second World War.
Breaking news today, a civil war has broke out in Spain between the Republican government and the nationalists. The civil war has been a long time coming, caused by increased political polarization after the dictatorship of Miguel Primo de Rivera and the economic hardships of the Great Depression. After the election of the leftist Popular Front government in February, political polarization reached an all-time high. Civil order began to collapse, and after talks about greater autonomy for the Basque and Catalonian regions of Spain, the army believed that the country was on the verge of collapse. This polarization led to the political assassinations of members of both the left and the right. The Civil War began after the military seized Spanish Morocco under the leadership of Francisco Franco. The military hoped that by seizing Spanish Morocco, the Republican government would just give up and hand over power, but they didn't. This led to the Republican government arming unions and workers to fight against the military that was revolting. Who knows what happens next in this war? I mean, nobody really.
On April 10, 1938, Austria famously voted via referendum to join the Third Reich and become a part of Germany. This came after German troops had entered the country in March in order to stop the fascist Chancellor and dictator of Austria, Kurt Schuschnigg, from holding a referendum on whether or not Austria should join Germany. The official reason the Germans did this was because they believed that the Austrian government was going to cheat and make sure that Austria stayed independent. In fact, Schuschnigg was so desperate not to be annexed that he even legalised opposition parties on the condition that they campaign against unification. Anyway, German troops entered Austria and the German Reichstag passed legislation that annexed the territory on the condition that an Austrian referendum approve. The vote for the annexation, called the Anschluss, was approved by 99% of the country on a 99% turnout. Sounds legit. Also, the ballot looked like this, with a much larger and central Ja circle making it clear who you should vote for. Also, the ballot wasn't secret and our members of the Waffen-SS were at polling stations. So the question surrounding all of this is how popular was the idea of the Anschluss in Austria? Whilst the conduct of the referendum makes it seem like it was forced upon the Austrians against their will, the truth is not so simple. The notion of Austria and Germany being unified was not a new one and can be traced back to the unification of Germany. After the First World War and the dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Austro-German unification became a popular force, but any such notion was forbidden in the Treaty of Versailles. In fact, unification with Germany was considerably more popular in Austria than it was with Germany during the early interwar years and was particularly strong amongst veterans of the Great War. You see, many Austrians felt that the Peace of Versailles was hypocritical since it gave all of the peoples of the former Austro-Hungarian Empire the right to self-determination, but none was given to the Austrians. So, using the 1927 election as a demonstration, we can see just how popular the idea of Anschluss was with the Austrians. During this election, explicitly pro-unification parties achieved over 65% of the popular vote. The real change came in the 1930s when in Germany some chap with a funny moustache took power and Austria itself had a fascist coup. The rise of Hitler turned the left-wing Austrian parties away from Anschluss because whilst they wanted to be a part of Germany, they didn't want to be a part of that Germany. The fascist government quickly went to Mussolini, who promised to defend Austrian independence. That was until Hitler offered Mussolini an alliance, after which Mussolini promptly stopped caring and did nothing when the Germans took the country. This just demonstrates the difficulties discussing the Anschluss. Whilst Austria was declared to be the first victim of Nazi aggression, it's important to note that many, in fact a sizable majority of Austrians, supported unification with Germany. It's thus likely to conclude that had the Nazis run an honest referendum, they'd have still won. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, and a special thank
Sir, you have to pay for that. What will you do?
There is nothing we can do.
That's not an answer. You can't just take soda and walk out. No!